At what moment did you realize you were dating an idiot? I asked her out and she said yes. Yeah, I guess it's probably not very easy to date when you don't trust anyone who is willing to date you. She was out for a run one day, and when she came back, she said an animal charged at her, so she cut her run short. I asked her what it looked like, and she said, like a cow, but brown. It was a cow. Hey, don't be rude to the brown cows, they create our chocolate milk. When he told me, quite seriously, about how people with enough willpower can survive by photosynthesis. Wasn't there some woman who told everybody that she could live just off of, like, consuming the air and just living off of that? And so a bunch of scientists were like, alright, let's test this out. Let's put you in a room with no food. And after a couple days, she was, like, almost dead. So they're like, alright, let's call this off now. He called lingerie linguine, as in the pasta. Huh, so does that mean Victoria's Secret is now a restaurant? He was getting his license renewed, and they asked him if he wanted to be an organ donor. He said no. When I asked why, he told me it was because he didn't want the government to come knocking for any of his organs when he still needed them. He really thought that becoming an organ donor meant that, at any time, his organs could be taken. Yeah, I kind of feel like if the government is going to come start taking your organs, they're probably not going to let you make the decision on that. Just ask China. I asked him about the class he was taking at community college. He says, it's going okay, better than last year. I failed it twice. I say, must be a hard class. What's it about? Learning strategies. He failed a class about how to learn. Twice. What in the world is a learning strategies class anyway? That seems more like something that they would teach in preschool, not college. My girlfriend at the time genuinely believed that it was the Headless Horseman that ran through Lexington and Concord shouting, "The British are coming, the British are coming." Well, it would make for a much more interesting story if that was the real way it happened. My boyfriend took me to a fancy restaurant and we ordered wine. When the waiter came back, he gave my boyfriend the cork to sniff. My boyfriend grabbed it, sucked on it, and licked it like a lollipop, all excited, while the waiter looked uncomfortable, poured our glasses, and slunk away. Again, as somebody who's never even had alcohol, I think this whole, wine culture thing is so weird. She said her dad told her the giant wind farm fans in Central California were to cool things down, and she believed him. I said, when you were a kid? She said, no, last year. Yeah, it's gonna take a whole lot of those giant fans to really cool down a city on a hot summer day. Making Kool-Aid says, how much sugar does it need? It says on the package. Well, just tell me. 1 cup. Okay, there's only 1/3 of a cup here. Where's the whole cup? I don't know, just use the 1/3 cup. Says, well, how many scoops do I do then? Says, it's 1/3 of a cup. It's like, I don't know fractions, just tell me. Says, I'm not going to tell you. Figure it out. It's 1/3 of a cup. How many do you think it would be? I don't know, man, just tell me. 3. The girl was 20 years old at the time. I'll never forget that. Don't you love people that have just never had an original thought in their life? It's like, just tell me the answer, I don't know how to think. He decided that he didn't want to poop while staying with me in student halls, so he didn't poop for 10 days and seriously messed up his digestive system. Huh, that sounds just like a South Park episode where guys are always holding in their farts when they're around women, and keeping all of that gas inside you makes you spontaneously combust. In my defense, this was back in 2004. I found it charming and endearing that he did funny voices, made funny idiosyncratic jokes, and occasionally called me "m'lady." Then I saw Anchorman. Oh my gosh, he literally was doing a 24/7 Ron Burgundy impression, eclipsing his entire personality. I'm not sure I ever really met him. Yeah, I have met people before where I'm thinking I think you watch a few too many sitcoms. Not everything you're saying is as funny as you think it is. I think you're missing a laugh track somewhere. She threw a butter knife at a light bulb in a crowded restaurant because she didn't like that it was flickering. Huh, okay, well, did that solve the problem? We were out having a few drinks, and he said his tooth hurt. He just pulled it straight out of his mouth. I guess it was rotten away, but holy crap, who the heck does that kind of thing? You know, isn't it kind of crazy that throughout your entire life you only get 2 sets of teeth? One set for your first, 10 or so years, and the next set just has to last you until the day you die. He actually believed that if you had money, it was because God thought you were a good person, and only bad people were poor. The truly ironic part of this was that he couldn't get enough work to make a living, and he had to ask his wealthy father for handouts all the time. I was trying to carefully manage the breakup since we worked down the hall from each other, when he decided to dump me because he didn't like who I voted for in the election. Well, maybe he should have been a better person and he could have been rich. She called to RSVP to a surprise party. She called the person who the party is being thrown for. When I asked her how she didn't know, she said the invitation wasn't clear. I looked at the invitation and it said in big letters, "Shh, it's a surprise party." Gee, I wonder how that phone call went. It's like, hey, I want to let you know that I'm coming to your surprise party. What surprise party? He shot himself in the leg twice while cleaning it. The same gun, 2 weeks apart. You know, I know everybody has the right to own weapons, but maybe having a gun just isn't for you. When she thought flashing red lights on the road, as in traffic lights blinking red, meant you were entering a different time zone instead of indicating a stop sign. Wow, so does that mean that if you're driving down the road when the power's out and all of the lights are blinking, you're just going through like 4 days worth of time zones within an hour? I was on a hike and was following a trail I read up online. We got to a fork and I say, okay, now I need to go south. She says, haven't we been this whole time? Confused, I look at her and ask why she says that. She replies, north is the direction in front of you, yeah? I'm still not entirely sure about the origins of that logic. So does that mean that you were walking backwards that whole hike? He insisted that women cannot be doctors, only nurses, and vice versa. He said that the two are exact same thing except one is male and one is female. Well, that's one way of seeing it, I guess. My girlfriend and her best friend got in an argument whether or not Canada was a language or a state. Actually, it's another planet, you're both wrong. My ex was the oldest of 6. We had been dating for about a week, both 20. I recommend, you have wide hips for a man. He replies, it's from carrying children. I was totally baffled till his youngest brother walked in and he picked him up and held him to the side, rested on his hip, as you do with toddlers. I had to sit down with him and explain that you don't get wide hips from literally carrying children around. Hey, don't underestimate him. Have you ever tried it? My ex thought that whenever I missed his call, the phone would still be ringing even after it went to voicemail. I got at least 3 voicemails a week that consisted of silence and the odd annoying impatient sigh. Well, didn't that kind of thing actually happen with landlines or whatever? I don't know, I only ever saw that in movies. Maybe that's just weird movie logic. Where somebody is in the midst of leaving a message saying, hey, pick up. And then the person comes over and picks up the phone. Was that a real thing? Or is that just another stupid movie thing? She got me Mad Libs, and when it was her turn to do a noun, she asked, what is a noun? I said, it's a person, place, or thing. There was a long silence as she thought. It went on for so long that I thought she must be thinking of the best noun I'd ever heard. Then she said, place. You know, maybe it's time to go back to holding kids back in school when they are not proficient to move up. When she surprised me by inviting her mother on our 16-day Hawaiian cruise. Don't worry, the cruise ship is so big you could lose her easy. Except I hope she got her own room. She tried to argue that we could get to the moon easier if we just built a spaceship that could go underwater, and flew it through the ocean to the moon during the daytime rather than straight up. Oh man, you know, my mind has been very opened up from these threads, just giving me all sorts of crazy ideas that come from people's misconceptions of how reality works. I'd been dating this girl for a few months, and it was at Christmas time. We weren't super serious, but it was serious enough that I was buying her Christmas presents. I found something for her that was perfect, and it had a connection to some funny event involving her and my cat. So I made the present from the cat. I thought I was being cute, and she would make the connection. Instead, she got pissed that my cat got her a present and I didn't. I thought she was joking. To make matters worse, we were at her parents' place, and they backed her up. It was extremely awkward, and I realized it wasn't going to work out. Yeah, just so you know, this video is all thanks to Faye. She's the one doing all the work here, so I mean, I'm not doing any of this, it's all her. When I saw her water her plastic plant for the 3rd time, oh, how's it doing over there? Is it growing? She kept trying to put food inside the rolling pin, and then trying and flatten it by just rolling it around. Man, I don't even know how most of these people get through their days. She claimed to have a doctorate in emotionology. A doctorate. I asked her what her master's thesis was on, and what her dissertation included. She looked at me like I was eating doorknobs retarded. Insisted it was a legitimate study, got angry if her friends didn't call her doctor when introducing her, kept a ledger of unacceptable words and colors that were not to be used in her presence. Her field of expertise proved that these words and colors oozed negativity and bred evil, causing murder. One of the worst parts was meeting this whack job's gaggle of friends she had that believed all of this crap. It was like stupid could be contracted and spread. I could talk about the brief relationship for hours. The absolute horse crap this person believed, or fabricated, was dumbfounding. Then there were completely logical concepts that just seemed downright alien to her. She could not grasp them at all, such as the difference between the light spectrum of color shades and pigment shades. Okay, so there are a lot of people that they're trying to make it in life, but they just seem like they're a bit slow. They don't really understand everything that's going around them. And then there are people like this that think they know everything, but they kind of just made up their own reality. But I hope you enjoyed another installment of stupid things people have said. You know, I guess this is kind of like the Valentine's week version of this. But that's all for today.